It's a Monday evening. We're back in Muscle Catch Studios. It's all happening in the NFL. There's a lot of headlines to get through. Mock draft trades are afoot. It's Curtis DeBoyer, QB3. We got Matthew Maidment, known as DOS, QB1. Oh, look at the salute to the camera. I like that flashy move. And we got Chris Hall, QB2. Boys. There's a little bit of excitement in the air because we know we're only 2 weeks away from our mock draft episode where we become the GMs. It's not about predicting, it's about making our teams better. And last week, Dos, when you were away, and we'll get to your illness in a moment, when you were away, we split up those teams. But tonight we have an opportunity to trade them, which is very exciting. Hawley, I know you're excited because...
Pick one's on the table, boys.
It's what?
It's on the table.
It's on the table.
Pick one's on the table. Absolutely on the table.
Yeah.
It's a boring pick. Everyone knows it's Cam Ward.
Well, Dos, I mean, yeah, the first thing you did last week on the message chain, well, there were some other things. You did complain. One of those complaints was, I think the quote was, "I don't get pick one in the mock draft again. Absolute BS." That was
Make a play, buddy. Make a play.
It's on the table, Dos. You can go for it tonight.
And hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, Dos. Welcome back.
I was annoyed because I didn't get to record with you boys last week because I was not well and you didn't want me up here in the studio, Kurt, spreading any germs.
Well, it's very confined. It's a very confined place.
And there's not a lot of filtration out. Aircon does need to be on though. Nice cooler weather coming in.
Aircon is on tonight, by the way.
Oh, okay.
When we get 3 bodies in here, it starts to warm up. A lot of hot air around this room.
Yeah, a lot of
But you feeling better?
I am, thank you. I'm feeling better. And then I went a little early because I haven't had pick one in any of our mock drafts.
We've only done 3 though, and they are randomized.
They are. And then when I didn't have anything in the top 4, I was like, oh, geez, this is...
Oh, so you sent that message before you'd even heard any of your picks?
Yeah, went early.
After pick 4 when it's just
and then
us
he ends
two.
up with 5 of the top 10.
Just instant reaction. And then I'm typing them in as you're reading them out.
Yep.
And allocating them. And then I color coded them. And then I had a bit of a look and I thought, oh, actually, my hand's not too bad here.
It's not bad. I should stop complaining.
I'm going to shut up now on the chat and not say anything else.
Well, we had the survey on Instagram and we asked our listeners who we thought had the best hand. Hawley, you shaded it with 42%, thought yours was the best.
Not a bad effort.
DOS, 39%, and then I was a dismal 18%. So I'm a long way behind, and that matches up with the average draft position. So your average picking spot is 14.5, yours, DOS, is 15.6, and mine's 19.2. So I'm a long way back, but... I've been known to do an aggressive trade in my time, whether it's fantasy or otherwise.
Can we just do the whole episode on the trades?
I think everyone's excited. Maybe not the listeners, but definitely us. But we do have some stuff to get through first. Dos, you're all healthy, ready to go?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, that's good because we've got headlines, so let's go. All right, there's a real hodgepodge of headlines over the last week. Some are new, some are a little bit old news now, but for those who haven't been keeping up with NFL.com and constantly refreshing during the day like Dos and I do, we'll bring you up to speed. We'll start, Hawley, this one's for you because your boy, Trey McBride,
oh yeah,
he got extended. Arizona tight end. He becomes the highest paid tight end in history. 4 years, $76 million extension.
He has had a couple of very, very good years. And where do we put him? Top 3 tight end coming into the year. Brock Bowers probably takes number 1 spot.
Off one season.
At the moment. Yeah, I think, would you roll in Brock Bowers as number 1?
There's an argument to be made for it.
I'm saying Brock.
Only because Trey doesn't get in the end zone enough.
He hasn't had enough TDs. No. If he comes through next year with 10, 11 TDs, and he's in the conversation for the best tight end in the league. But yeah, you got to pay him. You can't. Arizona couldn't afford to lose Trey McBride.
There are a few spots. I've drawn them in the mock draft, so a few holes to fill. Safe to say tight end won't be one of them if I hang on to that pick, that is. Trey Hendrickson, Dos. There's a little bit of frustration that's come out over the last week from Trey with the Bengals. He's a very humble man, and he said it humbly, but he just made a few comments that, perhaps it would have been nice if they communicated to me a little more throughout this process. Still waiting for some money, Mr. Hendrickson, whilst Chase and Higgins have been paid. So what's your take on that situation? Have they neglected their star pass rusher in favour of their more fancied skill position players?
Correct. That's exactly what Cincinnati have done.
Moving on.
The priority.
I mean, you can only feed so many, but still.
Correct. The priority was always to get Chase and Higgins done first.
Yeah.
That was always the message going into the off-season. Joe Burrow advocated for that and felt like on every platform or every press conference he had, he was actively campaigning for his receivers to get paid, and they did. And I think they're probably just working out at the moment where Hendrickson, from a contractual standpoint, will fit in, looking at the money. I don't think there's been a lot of mock trades going on with Washington, Indianapolis.
I don't think he's going anywhere, is he?
I don't think they'll trade him. If it is, it'll be on draft night.
Yeah.
So that the Bengals can actually get
That'd be
something
big.
out of it.
That'd be huge.
That'd be a big one. Yeah, but I just don't think it will. I think they'll pay him, find a way to pay him. It'll be a back-ended contract as well for Trey Hendrickson.
And I know these things look like complaints when they're written down, but the way he said it and the way he worded it was as humble as it can be for a little nudge to your own executive. And that was on the back of comments made by one of their executives in the public, in the media. So interesting times at the Bengals. Aaron Rodgers, it looks like he's going to the Steelers. The last week, the Steelers have been saying that things look positive for it. There's been a couple of comments. Art Rooney said signs are positive. So it looks like, Steelers fans, you have to prepare yourself for the Aaron Rodgers circus. We won't talk much more about that. We're going to wait until that's confirmed before we delve into more Rodgers stuff.
Reckon he'll announce that day one draft night in Green Bay? That'd be an Aaron Rodgers thing to do, wouldn't it?
On stage.
I don't know about on stage, but that would be something an hour before the draft.
That would be.
That they would.
You know what? I'd actually rate that. I'd like that, Hall. You may as well. You in for a penny, in for a pound. Just take the whole villain persona and run with it.
Oh, I'm off Rodgers. I'm sick of talking about him.
All right, Calais Campbell. He's back to Arizona where it all began. At 38 years old, the defensive end. Still hope for us, boys. I'm still working on my D-line form. Might get picked yet. He was a second-round pick in Arizona in 2008, or for Arizona in 2008, I should say. He had a 9-year career there before Jacksonville, Baltimore, Atlanta, Miami, and now he's back. And I'll talk more about Miami later on, but that's an incredible career that continues at Arizona. Another big boy who had a great career, Dos. Teron Armstead, 5-time Pro Bowler, offensive tackle, 9 years at New Orleans, 3 at Miami. He has retired and left a gaping hole on that Miami O-line.
Yeah, they're a little thin, Miami, and we spoke about this a little while ago when we talked about the Miami salary cap structure, and we thought Teron Armstead was a candidate to retire, and that would help them.
Helps them on the balance sheet, doesn't help them on field.
No, doesn't. And but congratulations, wonderful career. Future Hall of Famer, Teron Armstead.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question about him. Also going to ask it about the next guy who's officially retired, even though he had last year out of the league, Julio Jones, Hawley. A great name, and that's a future Hall of Famer, I'm sure. Retires as an Atlanta legend, 10 years there. Went on to Tennessee, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia for mercenary stints. 16th all-time on yards. Hall of Fame. Anything else to add to his repertoire?
Quintorris Lopez Julio Jones Jr. is... He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I was talking off air, Dos, before you got here, but you go on Wikipedia, or you look at his NFL records, and he's the fastest player to 7,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000 yards. He's most receiving yards in first 100 games, 125. He's got all these records. Like it's remarkable how good he was. The only thing that let him down in his career were his TDs. I mean, his first year he had 8, second year he had 10, and then after that, his best year was 8 touchdowns. So I think that was always the downside of Julio. He just couldn't find the end zone like we expected, 13, 14, 15 TD year, but otherwise he's one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game.
2-time first team All-Pro, 3-time second team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler when it actually meant a little bit for a while there, and he led the league in yards twice in his career. I like how you caught yourself from saying Wikipedia there, Hawley. You said when you look on at the NFL records, just to give it a bit more credibility.
Just happens to be very good
for
it does, player statistics. Like, it has everything here. It even has, I've just noted, first downs now.
What do you mean?
Well, in his regular season receiving stats, it's got first down.
Does it really?
Yeah.
You can do it all, Wikipedia. I was going to say hopefully they can sponsor us, but I don't think they've got very much money because every time I go on their website it says, please, just one more time, Curtis. I made the mistake of giving them $5 in 2006. They have not left me alone ever since. A few more little bits. QB news. Trey Lance goes to the Chargers rather than the rumored Canadian Football League. Well, it's still a story. There's an intrigue around him. He's at the Chargers instead of Dallas. Was going to go to the Canadian Football League and complete one of the biggest busts of our time, but we'll see what he does as the backup to Justin Herbert.
Sorry, Kurt, what did I text you the other day? He's a year younger than old mate. The Pats just got rid of. Who the Pats just trade out?
Joe Milton.
Joe Milton.
So
Oh,
Trey Lance is a
old
year
mate,
younger than
sorry.
Joe Milton.
That was the next bit. I was saying going the other way to the Cowboys is Joe Milton the
Oh,
third.
and he's a year older than Trey Lance.
Well, there you go. But Milton's got slightly brighter prospects. He did play a good game for the Pats at the end of last year. A little bit confusing that they got rid of him, but I suppose they don't need a room with May and Milton when they've got Josh Dobbs mentoring there now at New England. But
Dobbs might take number 1 spot.
it was Milton and a 7th for a 5th. So they've moved up a couple of rounds, the Pats, to get rid of Joe Milton the third. More quarterback news. Geno Smith, DOS, was extended.
He was.
Yes, 2 years.
2 years.
You got the money?
I don't in front of me. Sorry.
I forgot to get the money.
81?
81? Yeah, I think it was in the 80s.
Oh, no, it was
88.
I think it's
82.
80 flat, and it might have been 85. Regardless, it's actually 75 and can get up to 85 mil.
75 guaranteed, is it?
No, it's not that much guaranteed. I have to
Okay.
check
Can you
the,
Google? Can you?
guarantee. Do you want me to just
you
pull that
Google
up?
it?
Sorry, I didn't
So-
have Geno Smith on the.
No, that's probably my mistake.
It is 75 with 66.5 guaranteed.
Okay.
There you go.
Well
And
done.
then there's probably a little bit extra on top of that for some bonuses, I suppose.
Producer Chris. That's producer.
I'm all over it, big
Speed. If only I had that keyboard cam going, would have seen smoke coming off of the keys.
So that kicks in start of the 26th season because he's under
Yes.
the current his current contract at the moment.
It takes him through to 2027 at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, so he's got a base this year of 14.8 mil with the Raiders, and then 2-year extension through to the end of 27, which ties in exactly with Pete Carroll's contract.
Oh, well, there you go. Good luck, Gino. A couple of other things. The Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter showcase went off without a hitch during the week. Full coverage was on NFL Network. I watched bits and pieces of it, and all the reports were, good. They were positive about his arm under no pressure and with his dad throwing him balls, So let's take that with a grain of salt. But the thing that amazed me, boys, was that all 32 teams were represented.
Well, Tennessee cancelled their workout.
Their personal
they had
workout.
a
Their
private.
personal workout.
Well, they've
They
seen
were gonna have
enough.
a private workout. They had a meeting
seen
with
enough.
Shedeur after his workout with his dad, and then they cancelled their
So
private meeting. So I'm taking that as, we don't need to see you
They
again,
want
mate.
they
But
want Cam.
I think so.
Yeah. But what does it mean for all the other teams? Because there aren't 32 in the market for Shedeur Sanders, and there are only 3 or 4 teams who could possibly get Travis Hunter. So what are all those other teams doing there? Are they
It's a
just
good point. Unless they're
are they just doing diligence as an opponent they're going to come up against next
Doing
year?
their
Or
own networking leading up to the draft, Kurt, I would have thought.
whispers,
Yeah.
rumors?
Yeah.
I like that. Scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
or wait for Sanders to drop to the second round.
You know what?
True. Yeah. You know what? It's possible, isn't it?
He could slide. I could easily see him not going in those first few picks, sliding down to
If
the
the Browns,
Saints.
if the Browns don't take him, then
I think the Giants will take him now.
You think they will?
No,
You
oh
don't?
no, of course not.
not with their first round pick.
No.
All right,
Oh,
interesting.
take
Maybe
that.
there was more point to it than I thought. The last little bit, and this isn't even news, but I just wanted to point out: have you boys seen a picture of Josh McDaniels since his return to the New England Patriots as OC? That guy's looking fit. Now he was head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. He got sacked at a year out of the game, and he is refreshed. I know everyone says they're refreshed after a year out, but this guy, I mean, look out for some dynamic offense in New England, because if his physical stature is anything to
He was looking a
go
little
by.
bit chubby, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. I think the stress of the job. You see a lot of coaches put on weight. They go one of two ways. They turn into absolute gym junkies and they're like buff dudes, like a lot of them, or they take the Andy Reid career path and they just accept themselves for who they are. And
Fat.
yes, Andy Reid is fat. Yes, well observed. But Josh McDaniels, he's looking lean. So shout out to the man for getting himself fit, and hopefully.
Well, he's had a good year after getting sacked by the Raiders. Be on good coin to work out and train.
I reckon he could afford
Wouldn't that
a
be
very
a
good
dream?
trainer.
Yeah.
Very good trainer. But you still got to do it, Doss.
No,
It's one
that's
thing
right.
having the cash and the time. The other thing is you got to do it. So well done to JM. All right.
Good on him.
That's my little bit of little bit of news. Let's go. All right, continuing the. Oh, go on.
Trade time.
Not yet. Not yet. We've got 2 more segments. We've got owners meeting wrap. So keen. We've got the owners meeting wrap. And then we've got teams we haven't talked about enough. And then we've got trade time. All right.
All right. Then.
So give it about 25 minutes. Now, to continue the newsy theme, we do need to go through all the big topics that came out of the owners meeting, because it really happened after our recording last week, Hawley. It was all speculation at that point, and now we know some of the answers. So let's recap the big things that came out of the NFL owners meeting. Where was it? Cabo? Cancun? Doss, where was
It's
it?
in Palm Beach.
Palm Beach, that's right. How you going there having to type around the microphone?
I'm not enjoying it.
Are you a finger typer? Like this kind of?
No, he's a touch
I'm
typer. Look how many times he's hit the mic already.
I'm a touch typer.
Do you want to sort yourself out? Do you want to move the laptop across and
No,
readjust?
Curtis is fine. I see you've I've had one week off and you've rearranged everything.
How's the
in
card?
here.
How's the card thing yesterday?
Oh, the card expo.
Card show
Expo.
was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one we did in October, we had the
Yes.
podcast set up there.
We didn't just do it. We started it, Dos.
We did. It was great fun. So this year's one, double the size. So they opened up that back wall, Kurt, that we sort of
wow.
spoke about.
Oh, that big?
Yeah,
Because the one
and-
we went to was the biggest they've ever had.
Yeah, and it was double.
Goodness me.
So
Holy
Well,
moly.
just another business that we've doubled customers for. Look at
It's
that.
just not happening
so I
around
picked up a
business.
little.
Card show, Jericho. Oh, geez, now I've hit the mic.
Now you're hitting the mic.
You boys all right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I picked up the Jordan Love card, which I thought was quite nice. So,
Auto, no auto.
no auto. There was no Jordan Love autos there, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Huge
There you go.
Pokemon.
Dos disses the card show for lack of Jordan Love autograph.
No, there was a good amount of
Get any
I would
Pokemon
have
cards for the
liked
kids?
more. I bought a booster pack for my daughter. Yes,
Definitely for Bell or
it was for Belle.
Has
Yeah.
she opened it yet?
Yeah, we ripped it open when we got home. When I
Nice.
got home.
Charizard?
ripped it open in the card.
No, I've
the
still
card.
got my 99 Charizard just
Amazing.
behind
Pristine.
my hard plastic.
You should get
resting.
that evaluated. Who is it that does it?
Graded.
Graded, yeah.
Graded. Well, you got to send
Beckett's?
it
Do you
over
send it to
the
Beckett's?
Yeah,
Is that who does
Beckett's PSA.
If you get a 10, would it be a 10?
It won't be a 10.
Oh, it'd be
No.
a couple of soft edges.
I think it'd probably be like a.
Did you
7.
signature it when you were a kid?
No.
Matt was here.
It's lived in the plastic sleeve, but it's been in there for 26 years.
Wowzers.
Impressive.
We're old. Okay.
Yes, we are.
Owners meeting.
Thank you, Curtis.
I said we, all of us.
Yeah.
You're slightly older than the rest, but
Oh, yeah, I've got 2 months on you or 3 months on you? 6 on Hawley.
yep.
All right.
All right, let's go.
Owners meeting.
Touchbacks. The touchback for the dynamic kickoff. So
This is just.
you're not happy? Well, it goes from Let me explain. If you kick it into the end zone, the kickoff, the opposition used to get to start at 30. Now they start at 35, so they get 5 more yards. So it's meant to discourage teams from just booting it into the end zone. Better field position for the team that gets it. And the theory is that it increases the chances of more returns. Now, we were skeptical about the dynamic kickoff, but the stats do say that last year, in its first year, it increased returns for kickoffs from 21% to 32%. And that's pretty good. I mean, we're seeing 11% more returns, which is what we want, right? We want to see the ball returned more. So this is just another little nudge in that direction. But you don't think it'll work?
Well,
Or you just don't think,
I think one completion, you're almost in field goal range.
oh, that's your problem with it. Too
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Well, can we move the kickoff back further rather than.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Rather than pushing the possession forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that floated?
No. That's why I should be at
This
the
is why you
owners
got to be
meeting.
there.
Well,
All right, we're going to fly you next year.
The thing I don't like about it is because they've moved it forward a couple of times now, right?
Yes, they have.
And now that's going
25 to 30 to 35.
So that's intruding on statistics because you're going to have guys that
too.
let's say they have 6 drives from a kickoff
Yep.
in a game, which is probably it's probably not that many actually. That's 60 yards less that these guys have to play around with, which fantasy football wise is a lot. And if you get nitty gritty with records and all of this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
it does play a part because over a season, that's over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, but I know, and you've raised this argument in a few other areas, and I do get it, but you can't always asterisk records and hark back
I'm
to
not-
what it
I'm
was
not-
20
I'm not
years ago
asking
because
for
the
that.
game naturally evolves, right? You're going to always have slight differences that change the probabilities of things.
I'm not
but-
saying on your Wikipedia NFL records to put a little asterisk and a little asterisk next to it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that these things will start to make it more difficult to break records and achieve goals or bonuses.
okay,
and-
because they need to go less, and they'll get yet less yards for more
correct.
scores.
Yeah. So now we're not going to
see.
see. So what is it? Like a 70-yard. What is it from? What's your maths?
from 35,
from-
from 30 to 100, yeah. So
Yeah, 35 to 65 yards. So
Yeah.
now we're going to see 65-yard TDs instead of 75, which we would see a couple of years ago.
I see what you're saying.
Well, you will off a punt return.
Yeah,
Or
you will,
off a punt.
but it's not going to happen.
But
as
it won't
often.
be off the kickoff.
Okay.
I don't like it.
All right. Can you remember that point for when we only have a 65-yard pass in the first drive of week 1 and
I
you
will.
can complain that it wasn't 70?
When I have a 65-yard TD pass in the NFL in a fantasy
Flag football Olympics.
in a fantasy championship game, and I lose by 1 point because it should have been a 75-yard pass,
Yeah, I'm sure that your competitors will take that well. Moving on. The next rule change was that both teams, and thank goodness for this, now get the chance to possess the ball in playoffs in overtime. Hallelujah.
Can't believe it took this long.
Common sense finally provided. Should have just been when they changed it originally back after the 21 championship game.
It should have, but at least they did it, right? We've been complaining, everyone has, and finally they did it. So kudos for fixing that. However, overtime in the playoffs is still only 10 minutes as opposed to 15 minutes in the regular season, which I don't understand. What's the reason for that? Why not just make it all uniform? Why does there need to be this tiny little change still? Any logic there that I'm missing?
No, I just think it was the give and take, probably the negotiation side of things.
Yeah, but why would the NFL want it to be 10 minutes? Is it a broadcasting thing? Is it a tension thing in playoffs? I don't get it. Anyway, you can now both have the ball in overtime. Thank you very much. Josh Allen, well, I was going to say breathes a sigh of relief, but now he's even angrier because the injustice that happened to him will never happen to anybody else. So sorry, Josh. The next bit, the tush push, that was the big item that we were all talking about, whether it should go or not. The vote will occur in May. There will be a vote occur in May. 24 out of 32 teams have to say ban it.
Well, it was 50-50 split at the owners meeting.
So there's a bit of lobbying to be done.
So, because it was 50-50 split, that's where you see Roger just decide to make the call and go, we're going to reevaluate this and look at a bit more in depth into the yes and no behind, probably more of the yes to ban it.
Yeah.
And it gives us another month or 2 months, 6 weeks to reevaluate, Kurt.
It does indeed. So we'll see.
But yes, they do need 24.
And the last major bit of news was that virtual camera technology will replace the chain gang referees. You know, the old fellas who stand up along the sidelines and move the chains and then come out dramatically and measure it. They're going. And that's a sad day. Another sad day as more humans.
They're still
there. Yeah, but they're
That was one of my
diminished.
favorite parts. I think the chains can stay. We need a more accurate. The referees need to know where to spot the ball. That's what I think is the issue. Because you'll see guys, they just stand on the sideline like, yeah, we think it's there. And they just put it.
It's the fun of it, mate.
Wherever they put it. Or are we getting rid of the chains then if it's the fun of it? One of them is still going to be inaccurate.
But we've seen in many cases, and cricket I think is the big one, where technology was meant to be this savior of accuracy in the game, and there's still so much ambiguity because of the unpredictability
just wants
of it.
to defend them, doesn't he?
Well, of course, if I'm not going to, who will? I mean, I can't wait for robots to take over your painting business, mate. See how happy you are.
Well, they've tried and didn't work.
Yeah, well, they've tried technology in cricket, and that didn't work that well either. But still, the NFL persists, so we'll see.
We would have won. When did we play England? Years and years ago, and they gave like 4 LBWs in a row.
Was that Steve Buckner's series from hell?
One of them.
Was that Stevie Buckner and Rudy Kurtzen?
Steve Waugh hit his 100 halfway through that series. You know, that game-saving 100 saved his career.
Yep.
Oh,
well.
DRS would have saved us then.
Hawley's cricket pod coming soon. That's all
I
we've
could do
got.
A cricket pod.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could do that.
All right, coming next week. Dos, anything else from the owners' meeting?
No, I think you covered it all.
Beautiful. All right, now let's get into some real fun stuff. Teams we haven't talked about enough. Let's go. We're just building the anticipation, Chris.
So excited. Hope you guys like my trades.
Yeah, imagine if we just go straight away.
I've got it all sorted out. If you guys knock them back, I'm walking out the room.
So if you love hearing Hawley's trade and mock draft proposals and trade analysis, make sure that you hit follow on Spotify.
Oh, I forgot to throw to you, didn't I?
And you hit subscribe on YouTube below. And then you can go back and listen to Hawley complain that we're not doing enough mock draft trades.
You know, the terrible thing is he even messaged me an hour before the show saying, make sure in the intro you throw to me so I can tell everyone how to rate and subscribe, and I still forgot.
Well, according to the metrics, we have a lot of people that either listen or watch on YouTube that aren't actually subscribed. So.
Yeah, a lot of people come across our content and then, I was going to say we never see them again, but that makes it sound like our content's bad. But I know that's a common thing. Even Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom, one of the biggest pods in the world, he's continually exasperated about how many people are not subscribed who happen to see his stuff. So if you are watching us on YouTube, or if you're listening somehow on Spotify, if Dos has messaged you to say, please subscribe, then just hit the button. Hit the button and we'll be with you forever.
That's it.
Yep. All right, teams we haven't talked about enough, because there are always some headline teams, always the teams that have early picks or things like that tend to dominate this type of year, or teams that have made splash plays in the off-season. But there are always some teams who get neglected, whether it's just they're one of the smaller movers in the league, or they just haven't done much, or for other reasons. So, Dos, do you want to kick us off with who haven't we talked about enough that we probably need to start pointing a few things out about?
Well, we haven't spoken a lot about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's true.
And they've had a sneaky, nice offseason so far.
Okay.
Re-signing Chris Godwin to a 3-year, $66 million contract, which was a massive discount. Market value left a lot of money on the table with New England to stay in Tampa.
Yep.
You get that familiar. Yes, he's coming off the dislocated ankle that ended his 2024 season, so there's a bit of a risk there returning from that. But established receiver who plays nicely with Mike Evans, that continuous rapport or relationship with Baker Mayfield, that familiarity between those three. And assuming that Jalen McMillan continues to develop as well, it's a nice little receiving trio for Baker. Hassan Reddick, they also signed on a little 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
On the edge,
He's one of those guys that, is he starting to be more liability than productivity with the things that have happened lately, or can he still contribute?
I think he can still contribute. I mean, it's a 1-year, $14 million flyer deal. It's a cheap deal. It's low risk.
Yep.
So I don't mind it at all, from that perspective. And the other as I hit the mic again. The other thing that's interesting to note here, so GM Jason Light, it's 11 years he's been in the job in Tampa and done a great job turning over this roster whilst remaining very competitive. Drafting has been a strength in Tampa Bay, keeping the core pieces post the Tom Brady 2020 Super Bowl and that era when they were in salary cap hell.
Yep.
Post that for a while, probably 2 seasons after. Dave Canales, who was their offensive coordinator, obviously now at Carolina. Then Liam Cohen has now moved on as a head coach in Jacksonville.
What county is he in again?
Who's that?
What counties?
Duval.
Yeah, that's the one.
Duval. Jacksonville. Yeah. And so, look, they continue to make playoffs, which is a strength of theirs. I think they'll be favourites to win the NFC South again with the team, provided that they draft well, they're healthy. They were banged up a lot last year, and they still managed to get through to the playoffs. They got bounced by Washington, but they've got a very solid defensive unit. I'm quite positive on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into 2025, and they've made a lot of just smart re-signings that kept the core players intact for next season, which I like.
What do they need to bolster, though? I think they need to bolster maybe their D-line, maybe their edge a little. Kalijah Kancey had some steps. Logan Hall's on the other side. They haven't got a heck of a lot of depth.
Well, they got Reddick on, like we just spoke about.
Yeah.
So he had some...
Was that where they go with their
experience.
first pick then? Pick 19?
Either there or maybe linebacker, I think.
Why did you look at me then? Are you trying to...
Oh, I see you've got pick 19, just wondering what you're thinking.
I was trying to ask Dos for some help.
Well, I
think they will go defense because...
well, their offense is pretty good.
Their offensive line is quite good. They're a top 5 unit.
And with Jalen McMillan coming on as their third wide receiver behind Evans and Godwin, that was a big plus for them.
Well, that's where maybe they could consider taking a wide receiver later on in the draft, because you got your Evans and Godwin that are a little older now.
Yep.
And if they want Baker to be that guy for the next 7 or 8 years, like you said, he's got real good rapport with those two big gun wide receivers, and Baker needs them. Like they've resurrected his career to a point as well, going to a team with a high-powered offense. So if one of those two leave, retire, whatever happens, they need to start to replace these guys, and maybe that starts in the 2nd or 3rd round of this draft. And then
I'm not as
he can take over McMillan. It just depends if they think in the 2nd or 3rd round they can find someone, maybe on defense that will be a week 1 starter, immediate impact, then maybe they go with that. But I think if they don't see someone they really like, then if it was me,
I think he's trying to throw me off. I think he's trying to throw me off here, Dos.
I like offense. I'm not saying your first round, but
you like offense.
Yeah.
I like offense. It might surprise
Shock horror.
you.
You like offense,
and I like depth. So if I'm the Bucs, I'm looking at trying to find
3 quarterbacks, 4 wide receivers,
6 receivers.
If I'm the Bucs, I'm trying to find a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round, because what's Godwin?
They'd be 30 now.
Yeah,
almost.
No, he's not too. 29.
Okay, with the legs of an 80-year-old.
And Mike Evans would be.
Well, Evans is, I think, 31
32.
or 32.
He's 31. He's 32 in August. Yeah. So those two guys in the next couple of years will be gone. So they need to start looking at their replacements now, I think.
Yeah, wide receivers you can replace as a year basis, though. I don't think you draft for
You don't see
draft a receiver now to play in 3 years' time. Like you don't need to do
They
that
can
in the
impact
NFL.
quickly.
I think you do have to.
No, you don't.
Running backs can impact straight away, but a lot of receivers don't. Like a lot of these guys have.
Not for the Pats, they don't.
It's only because
never
New
drafted
England,
a
it's
receiver
only
that
'cause New England
impacts.
can't draft any.
Not talking, I didn't talk about Pats.
Sorry,
Don't have
sorry.
to take a dig like that. Just because your Chiefs got
Don't-
absolutely belted.
I didn't
in the Super Bowl.
need to take a Stephon Diggs. Topical. He's at the Pats now. Did you know that?
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, Hawley, can you just double check? Is my camera still recording?
Yeah, it is.
Thanks. Just couldn't remember if I cleared the memory pre-episode or not. Yeah, and you've been the producer today, so
Yeah, I did see a notification come up earlier, but I ignored it.
you ignored it. Was it a
It looks clean though.
looks all good?
okay.
Thanks, mate. All right. What's your team that we haven't
I'm
spoken
going
about?
with the Jags, fellas.
Jags. Like it.
And
we
you
haven't
went
spoken.
Miami. So we've just gone Florida teams here.
Well, we haven't.
Yes.
Do we not?
Sorry,
We're-
the segment is Florida teams. We
Florida
haven't talked about
teams.
enough. Didn't I say that on the run sheet?
We're just going to talk. That's good. There we go.
Well, the Jags. All right, the couple of off-season moves they did make, they were last in pass D last year. So they brought in Jordan Lewis at cornerback from Dallas.
That'll fix it.
The 10
He's all right.
10 picks in 8 seasons. So
Oh, no.
we're not going to see a heap of turnovers from him.
There's your depth player, Hawley.
They also brought in
What
Eric.
depth.
They also brought in Eric Murray at safety, and as I've written here, not a heap of turnovers from these two, but at least it does add some experience.
That's a very diplomatic way to
about
put it.
all we're going to see.
That's a quiet off season.
Patrick McCarry.
Yep, I know the name.
McCarry.
Mekari.
I think that was at guard. I think that's a good signing. 94.5% pass block win rate last year, which was 5th among all guards. So to bring him in is, I think, a pretty good,
stat.
a good get for Trevor Lawrence after you've decided to pay him.
He was out of Baltimore last year. He was at Baltimore last
They
year.
they did lose starting center Mitch Morse to retirement, so they've replaced him, and they've done that with Bucs backup center Robert Hainsey. So he didn't play last year, or he didn't play a lot last year, but he started every game in 2022-23 season for the Bucs. And in that season, the Bucs ranked last in rush yards. So,
Okay.
so Jacksonville have done pretty well in the offseason so far, boys.
All right. It's a quiet off season.
But apart from that, a 4-13 Jags team didn't really do anything or didn't do much else, which tells me that they will go pretty hard on draft day. That's my view.
Well, they got pick 5.
And
right?
what I'm reading, they've got 10 picks in the draft, with the headline pick obviously being pick 5. With only 34 sacks last year, which is 2 a game, I think that obviously needs to improve. And Mason Graham seems like he's probably the guy that they'll take. Most mocks have them taking Mason Graham. He seems to be one of the more complete and week 1 ready players in the draft. And I think that probably helps improve that defensive front. So I think that's where they go with their first pick in the draft, pick 5.
Yep.
And then after that, defense probably makes sense.
defensive backs.
They obviously did well with Brian Thomas. They hit real well with Brian Thomas Jr. last year. They've still got Gabe Davis, who is one of the best, a big time player. DOS
in 2021.
The running game. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby. Trav was really bad last year, which was disappointing. Tank, he was supposed to be better, but as a 1-2 punch, maybe they're not too bad, but I don't think that's somewhere where they want to spend an early pick just yet. And it's a deep draft, so they could go a 4th, 5th round for a running back that comes through. But otherwise, maybe they do look at another receiver to help Brian Thomas Jr. Because Trevor's at that stage of his career now. They've signed him on, but he hasn't really. I think we say it every year. He hasn't really performed yet. So he needs some weapons around him, because if they keep it, they've got one receiver, an okay running back room. Gabe Davis is so. They need to give him a little bit of help.
They released Christian Kirk.
And they got rid of Christian Kirk. So they might look at a receiver, I think, round 2, 3, 4, somewhere around that. Otherwise, I'd be going pretty heavy on the defensive side of the ball for Jacksonville this year.
Well, the other thing too is that they haven't replaced Calvin Ridley when he went to Tennessee, and that's another big loss. I mean, this is a team that you look at the roster and everywhere is below average, except for their edges. I mean, they've got Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. They're elite. But outside of that, like you said, they need Mason Graham or someone on that defensive interior because they're really weak there. They got some okay linebackers, but their defensive backs, they're quite deficient there. Wide receivers outside of Brian Thomas, they've got nothing. Gabe Davis, De'Ami Brown, who they just brought in from Washington.
Yeah, they just signed him.
And Parker Washington, there's nothing there. The O-line needs some help. Trevor Lawrence has performed below average, but that's, maybe a symptom of what's around him. The running game, you said, wasn't good enough. Like, they've got this could be, if this doesn't get fixed, this could be a 3 or 4 win team.
And it's surprising that they didn't have I'm not sure what their cap space is like, Dos. You're probably the man to...
Not great because they've spent a lot the last 2 off seasons, which is why they did not much in free agency.
And it hurts them being a 4-13 team that couldn't attack the off season or free agency because it doesn't bode well for next year at all.
I don't see any improvement there, honestly.
Well, they look to the draft because Trent Baalke, who was fired as GM, lasted longer than what I thought. And the
fans rejoiced.
And the fans did rejoice in Duval, quite rightly too. So, James Gladstone comes in.
Yeah.
Young kid who
spoke to Jordan Rodriguez about on our interview.
Spoke about. They've got Liam Cohen, new head coach. Grant Udinski, new OC. Press Taylor also got fired. So there's a lot of change in personnel in Jacksonville for this upcoming season. So they'll go to the draft and they'll need to look to the draft for 25 and 26 to try and rebuild this roster a bit because it's an expensive roster. They released Evan Engram as well.
Yep.
Guys that they paid 2 off seasons ago. Christian Kirk was part of that too. That it worked okay for that playoff run.
His first season was great.
Yeah, and then it's largely been, unfortunately, bad play calling, injuries to both Trevor Lawrence and also to their skill position players and on the O-line as well. And it's just ended up that this is where Jacksonville are and going through another rebuild.
All right, that's the Jags. Now, I've got a team that once I started to think about them and do some digging, it really intrigued me, and that's the Miami Dolphins, as you alluded to, the Florida connection. Now, we haven't spoken about them much at all because they haven't really done anything this offseason like the Jags, but that's exactly the reason we should be talking about them, boys, because this roster is getting out of control. Now, let me highlight a few issues that they've got in Miami. Safety, that's a problem area. Jordan Poyer, who was declining at 33 anyway, he's a free agent, won't be coming back. Star Javon Holland has gone to the New York Giants. They brought in Melifonwu from Detroit, who's handy, capable, but not a star.
Or cheaper than Holland, that's why.
Certainly, and they brought in Ashton Davis from the New York Jets. But in my mind, safety's gotten worse, right? That's one area that's gotten worse. Calais Campbell, we mentioned it before, the defensive end, he's gone for Arizona. Yes, he's 38 years old, so do you need to retain him? Well, maybe not on paper, but he started every game for them last year on the edge, and he had 5 sacks that you still need to replace, so who replaces him? Chop Robinson was good in his first year, but there is Chop, your boy, but there's some real deficiency of talent around that guy. Zach Sealer, Chop Robinson, that's pretty much holding up the front 7, or the front 4, I should say, and they need some more around there. They've got the big problem now with Teron Armstead going. Yes, salary cap reasons, okay, but he's retired. Left tackle, there's a hole. And their O-line needs some addressing anyway. Their guards are probably a bottom 5 combination in the league. They then pay money for James Daniels from Pittsburgh. In my opinion, they overspend there because there wasn't that much quality in the market. So the O-line is a real issue now. And we don't need to point out, although we will, that the health of Tua has been such a massive problem that this guy can't take many more hits, otherwise it's potentially career over. So if any team needed to be able to protect their quarterback, it's the Miami Dolphins. They signed Nick Westbrook-Akine, which is, I think it's a luxury signing. He's a deep threat, had his best year last year as wide receiver, but we know Tyreek Hill's age, we know his issues. Are we predicting his decline from now? Did we start to see it last year? Maybe. He's potentially not the threat that he was, and then there's the Tua issue as well outside of his health. So all of that to say, it's a crucial draft, as every draft is, but people have been almost excusing the Dolphins. I've heard this a lot, saying, oh, they've got 10 picks in the draft. They've got a strong hand. Sure, they got 10 picks, but 3 of them are in the 7th round, right? So they've got their 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, like a lot of teams do. They have an extra 4th. They have 2 5ths, no 6th, and then 3 in the 7th. So they haven't got as strong a hand as people would have you believe. And this is a coach under pressure. Mike McDaniel is in real trouble if they don't have a good year this year. I hope it works out, but I'm starting to think it's not going to. So I don't know, Dos. I mean, they have, as far as defensive interior, parts of the defensive line, but especially the O-line, I think it's almost the most dire need of fixing in the entire league. It's right up there as far as needing for attention.
Yeah, and it's a aging and expensive roster.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Exactly.
Because Tyreek Hill is on a big contract. He's 31. Jalen Ramsey's 31 at corner, getting paid big money in this upcoming season. Jalen Phillips is in his prime, but keeps, injuries have been, and serious injuries have been a concern. Zach Sealer's 30 now, defensive tackle.
And Sealer had a great year last year. We do need.
He did. Yes, he did. He was very good. Bradley Chubb has had a contract restructure as
again,
well.
injuries.
Again, injuries. So it's a roster that is limited with what they can do, and that is why this offseason they have done very little in free agency, and they have let players go as well, which you alluded to, Kurt. So, yeah, they'll definitely be in the trenches in this draft. It'll be O-line, it'll be D-line for Miami. It'll be interesting situation for them. I think 12 months' time, we'll get a good indication of the future of this thing. Because I don't think in 12 months' time, I don't think Tyreek Hill will be there.
No.
Tua will be there because he's on a decent contract, and they can't really move out of that until probably the end of the 26th season if they want. But then you're looking at Jalen Ramsey's probably a year or two left. Zach Sealer, Bradley Chubb, all these guys we've mentioned, and Teron Armstead, I haven't seen what they've done with the retirement of how that contract is going to be worked out, because he was contracted for 2026 as well. So how that dead cap is broken up.
A lot of it just relies on Tua and being healthy. I think when Tua plays and he's healthy, they're a competitive team. I don't think they're a deep Super Bowl run playoff kind of team, but I think when he's healthy, they're good enough to be competitive. If he's not healthy, if he's not playing that well, they have to go full rebuild.
I'm actually not so convinced of that anymore. I don't think it's predominantly the Tua factor. I think they've let this roster slowly erode to a point where even if Tua has a season where he plays 17 games, I don't think they're a playoff team.
The roster's not good enough.
I don't think they're a playoff team.
The team's not good enough.
I think their offense is good enough to score points. You got Hill, Waddle, Achane. If you got those guys firing and Tua's playing well, then they're going to put up points. They're all pretty electric players. They'll put up enough points. It's a matter of if their defense can stop the opposition, which we've spoken about the last couple of years. Dos, you've obviously been a big advocate on that one. But if that offense isn't firing, there's nothing else to save them.
Well, the other thing too is that this magical running game that seemed to have just magic dust 2 years ago.
1 year, I think, wasn't it?
It was okay last year. I mean, he's a good starter. I like him, but he's not. It's not the combination that we saw with Mostert when he had his freak year of 18 touchdowns, and then Achane and all that other stuff. It just sort of fell away. So I think they're a team in trouble.
If this year doesn't go to plan for them, then I would look to move on from Tua and look to start a full-blown rebuild.
So the problem is if you trade Tua, then you got to trade him with
cap?
his contract, and then you're looking at a dead cap and the issues that we've seen other teams, because his contract extension, the first year of it kicks in this season. So that base salary of
the dead cap would be huge then, wouldn't it?
Dead cap this season is 137 million.
We're not trading Tua.
So that's this season, but then if you go into 20, because it's all front ended, and if you look into the 2026, it comes down to 99 million
still.
So and then it's a $56 million cap hit and a $39 million base.
Tua's probably sticking around for a bit.
But can I say one? Oh, sorry.
Even Tyreek Hill next season is a $51 million cap hit at age 32.
Can I say one positive, just because I don't want to leave our Dolphins fans all doom and gloom, because we love all of our diverse team fans on this show. If the linebacker group stays fit, that's an area of the roster that I really like. Jalen Phillips, Jordan Brooks, Terrell Dodson, Bradley Chubb. If you have that group and they're all good, then that's a really strong core.
I agree.
Fingers crossed they stay fit.
They could draft a stud at 13. They could draft someone at 13 who's an absolute stud defensive side of the ball. And Aiden Hutchinson type, I know he went earlier, but
and if they go with Chop, and Chop was good,
if they do find someone that can play like that level, and then all of a sudden it changes everything for them.
They just have to hit with someone who's ready right now. Yeah. That's it. All right.
Good luck, Miami.
Hawley,
what's on next?
I'm amazed you added another point, because you were only delaying what you're looking forward to, and that's potential mock draft team trades. Let's go. Very quickly, if you are a new listener or new watcher, welcome, firstly. Thank you for coming along, especially on the YouTube. It's just building, DOS. I've passed 300 subscribers now, which is good. This is our third mock draft coming up. It's actually our fourth draft, but our third mock draft episode, which starts in 2 weeks' time. And the way we do it is we randomly split up the teams, the 32 teams amongst the three of us. We did that last week, as we mentioned at the top of the show. And we don't do this as a predicting mock draft. We are not in the business of saying Shedeur Sanders is going to go here or Cleveland are going to do this. We are in the business of being the general managers of all of the teams that we are allocated, making the best possible choices for those teams. And hopefully, and I'm staring down the barrel of the camera now, if we've got your team, hopefully you're happy that we have done a good job and we represent your team well and we've set them up, Dos, for future. That's what we're trying to do, right?
Except for Denver. If I end up with Denver, I'm going to screw it up for you, Quag.
Well, I've got Denver, and as a Kansas City fan, it may be in my best interests to make a bad pick, but let's see. Have I nailed that description, Dos? Is
I
that
think
what
so.
we're doing?
And if you want to introduce your team's pick, are we going to promote that, Kurt, on our socials?
That's we will promote it on the socials, but thank you for the reminder. Another thing I forgot in the intro. I even had it written down. I got so excited having you back, Dos, and talking about.
Oh, understand.
Dude, I'm just happy that the Hammy's pulled through.
Hammy's good.
After the wasp sting.
We
Hammy's
don't need to
good.
bring up the wasp again. One episode was enough of the wasp, please. Yes, what we do every year, we get listeners to introduce the picks. So, for example, with the third pick in the 2025 Outback QB mock draft, the New York Giants select ... You don't make the pick. We've had people do that in the past. The whole show is us making the picks. All right, we make the picks. You introduce it, and you can of course add something at the start or the end.
Absolutely.
Like
we want creativity.
we want showmanship. We want
Where you're from, introduce yourself.
do it. Whatever you want to say, really. If a lot of people use it as like it's just a Trojan horse to bag us.
Well, no. Well, all right. I don't know
A few
about that.
criticisms. We've had a few criticisms. Mate, you haven't seen the ones that didn't go to air in the past. I've had to resend emails saying I can't possibly put that out. But hey, go your hardest on the first take. If I say no, you can always go again. I want creativity in my inbox. Send us a DM. Outback QB podcast. Send us a DM if you want to be involved, or podcast at outbackqb.com. Podcast at outbackqb.com. Tell us your team. And if you're lucky enough, if you're in quick enough, we might pick you for your team. All right. The new concept for this year. Previously, once our allocations have been done, we've just stuck with it. But now we all agreed that we can, if we agree on the trade, swap teams prior to the draft. We've got one window now. If there's movement and still things going next week, we might do another window. We'll see how we go. But let's go, boys. Are there teams that you want to put on the table? Hawley, you said Tennessee and pick 1 is on the table.
Tennessee is on the table, fellas.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to go for it, but it is the number 1 pick, so it's not a... And you can really shape the draft.
One, Dos?
No, I'm not.
After complaining last week.
Well, what's the point of this episode? Man?
After
This
complaining
segment?
last week. Well, no.
What pick 1
Why
for?
wouldn't you? It's the best pick of the draft.
Yeah. Maybe last year. Actually, not even last year.
Put my stupid headphones back on.
Please don't tell me
So I'm
all of your
deleting
trades
I'm
hinged.
deleting all these trades.
Did they all hinge around that?
Well, some of the important ones did.
He just gone on the hope that someone would take pick 1 off him.
Can I float one out there then,
Float one to me, yep.
Hawley? Because something interesting that happened is that I ended up with your beloved New England Patriots.
Well, I've got the Packers and the Chiefs.
And
so.
you ended up with my Chiefs, right? So I thought, well, what would Hawley want the Pats? I think he would. It's an interesting pick at pick 4. At first, I thought, would he do a straight swap for the Giants at 3? I know you moved back 1, but to get your team, I thought maybe that would be reasonable. So that's one option. But then I thought, well, to even that out a bit more, if I'm asking him to move back 1, maybe I also ask for my Chiefs, but in doing so, I move back 1 from 30 at Buffalo. So you get Buffalo at 30, and I then get my Chiefs at 31.
Not interested in Buffalo, mate.
Okay, well, I just thought it was a nice symmetrical trade.
I'll give you.
Hang on, can I just at least float what that trade was? It was
It's not happening. I don't want anything. I don't want anything in the 20s.
That made a lot of sense on paper.
What about? I'll give you 3.
Okay.
This is
22.
Yeah, but you have to say the teams. The whole point is who the teams are.
The Giants
Giants
the
at 3.
Chargers, and the Chiefs. 3, 22, and 31.
Yep.
And I'll take the Pats and Denver. 4 and 20.
The Giants at 3.
Chargers 22.
He's just giving me more picks because he wants to do less work.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that true?
You even want pick 1, which is the easiest
That's
thing.
true.
That's just
That's
a
what he's trying to
layup.
do. That's why he's
I'm trying to. I
slowly.
just want the teams that I want to pick.
Hang on. Giants at 3.
Yep.
Chargers at 22.
Yep.
And Chiefs
at
say,
31.
31.
And I'll take
For the Pats at 4.
and
And the
Denver.
Broncos at 20.
Yep.
That's a competitive offer.
It's a pretty good offer.
I didn't mind it when I heard it straight up. I thought it was all right, actually.
Deal?
For the first time in my life, Chris, with no extra negotiation, I agree to your trade.
Done.
Done. Well done. Look at that. What a success.
Absolute pleasure. It's
Well
going
done.
in.
Now I got to update.
Is that what it feels like to not be an absolute scoundrel when it comes to trades?
Holy. And
So-
I'll take.
Okay. Oh,
Hawley's
okay.
got
Bear with
Pats
us, everyone,
now.
while we spend a minute each updating our spreadsheets.
No, you're right. So Giants now belong to Kurt at 3.
LAC, yep.
Hawley's got the Patriots at 4.
Oh, yeah.
And Hawley now has Denver at 20.
And now Hawley's last pick is 23 at the moment.
That's smart. And now I've got
now-
12 picks and Hawley has 9.
And Dos, do you want your Packers? Because I have one for you as well.
I like it.
Dos,
You go ahead.
Please.
I'll give
pitch that.
you pick 7, which is the Jets. And you can have your Packers at 23, but I only want the Raiders in return. I want pick 6.
He's just trying to do no work.
Oh, I know-
And he's trying to do easy work.
I know
because
who
he-
I want. I know who I want at 6.
Yeah, and I've already prepped my pick at pick 6, so I'm not changing
Give.
it.
I mean, I've prepped all of my picks. I mean,
course
we've got
you've
2
prepped.
weeks, dude.
You've prepped
Come
your
on.
picks, mate. I only just prepped these trades while we're doing the podcast.
I
today.
got my.
Who are you taking at 6?
Won't tell you.
Oh, come on, Dos.
Well, he wants Genty at 6, and you want Genty at 6, Hawley. That's why you're trying to buy in.
Of course, that's what he wants.
Yeah, that's why I wanted it.
So that's why I'm not trading it.
All
to
right,
him.
what about...
Sorry, what was that offer, though?
I was
It
going to
the-
give him 7 and 23 for 6.
So you're going to give him
I wouldn't mind
the
taking...
Jets and the Packers for the Raiders. Dude, I would have taken that every day. That's so much more interesting.
What about just hear me out for pick 1? Oh, no, you've already prepped 6, haven't you? I was going to offer you 1, 21 and 23 for 6 and 8.
Haven't you just offloaded 21 and 23?
No.
No,
Oh,
I've
Oh, no,
got
that was part of
21.
the original one.
You know the fun thing about pick 1, though, is that you can shape the draft. Because if you do or don't take Cam
You
Ward,
know
it's
what?
a chaos ball.
I'm going to threaten all of you. I'm going to screw the draft up if neither of you take pick 1 off me.
What's your offer to me for pick 1 then?
It's too late now.
Is it? Why? Because
Yeah, 'cause I wanted-
those teams have moved.
It was going to be very similar to what we agreed on already. 3, 22, 31 for 4 and 20.
Okay.
I think I was just going to go for 1, 22, 31 for 4 and 17. Just take the Bengals.
So many numbers floating around in my head.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers.
There's a lot of- there's a-
It was pretty similar to what we did already.
okay. Well,
But you didn't want it, so
I did make a successful trade with you. We're on
I'm
good
very
terms,
happy.
aren't we?
I'm very happy with our negotiations.
Dos,
Kurt.
are there any teams you're looking to move out of, or any teams that you're trying to acquire?
Sure, you want your Packers.
No, because I've had the Packers before and I was disappointed.
So you complained about not wanting pick 1, but then now you don't want pick 1.
He complained about not getting it and then doesn't want it.
No, I'm all right.
No.
I've,
well,
I've
who do you-
made peace with
Okay,
not
that's
having
good.
pick 1.
I'm
What if
glad
I just
you-
gave you the Packers for free?
No, that's
No,
not
because
allowed.
that-
You have to do some work, Chris. You're already down to 19.
trying.
And all he
I'm
wants to do
trying.
is draft teams that need offensive skilled players. So he only has to look at receivers and
so
running
true.
backs.
That's why I've got Titans, the Pats. That's why I want to get out of the Jets. Saints will go.
I am quite interested in the Jets, I must say.
Okay. Because I really did like the Giants pick because it does. I think that also shapes a lot of the draft. Well,
I love the
It's a
Giants
r-
pick. And I
it's
also
a really interesting pick.
I also love the ability to take whoever you wanted from New England now. Because
I'm not actually not too fussed to
You're not too fussed.
New England take. I've got probably 4 or 5 guys I'd be really happy
I
with.
bet he'll reach and take Ted McMillan at 4 for the Pats if you take Hunter. I know he
Sure.
will
Saints
because he just wants to draft a wide receiver.
Okay,
You're
so
just trying to
you
talk
have-
him out of Tet so you can get him at either
You have
Jacksonville or Vegas.
Are you interested?
Nah, I'm not.
What about the Browns? How in love are you with the Browns?
Kurt loves the Browns.
I do like the Browns pick. Yeah, there's something about having the Browns that I like to manage. Can we come back to you because I think
sure, go for it.
Dos, you haven't done anything yet.
That's
in this
right.
entire segment.
Are
Because
you
I'm
going
quite
to?
comfortable with my
Oh,
hand.
come on,
Oh,
Dos. Give us
Dos.
something. You bitched all week, and now you said
Hold
you're
on.
comfortable.
Boring.
24 hours.
I instantly reacted to the fact that I wasn't happy I didn't get a pick in the top 4. Then when I typed it all
He's prepped
in,
his draft, so he refuses to
and now
trade.
I've actually got 5 players in every pick that I have. So,
So you're
I'm good.
taking Genty at 6. Oh, I might take him at 4. There goes your prep. You don't want the Packs. Come on, take the Packers.
So is there literally not a team you're trying to move out of? Nothing. Like,
I'll
give us
swap
something.
you, Hawley. You give me, because I know, Hawley, you like Baltimore. So,
Nah, too far back.
well,
I
bad
want-
luck.
Well, listen to the offer. I mean, there's
Oh, no, but I want to be done after like pick 20. That's my aim. So you guys do the next 12 picks on your own. I can sit back and relax. I'm an early round kind of guy.
Dos. If there was a team that you wanted to get out of in your allocation, who is it? Before I wrap this up.
I don't mind my pick. I'm good.
Good
Like,
segment.
I'm
boss.
good.
All right, we're not doing this again next week. Hawley, was there anything else?
So you want to keep Browns? You just got Giants, so you're keeping them.
Yep.
Cards could go offensive. Bengals won't. Bucks won't. Chargers probably will, but I already got rid of that pick.
You just traded them to me.
Cards, I'd look at 16 Cardinals because you're interested in the Jets, weren't you?
Yeah, I do like the Cards pick.
You really don't have much to play with though.
Paulie,
Oh,
you got the Jets.
yeah.
I'll swap you the Jets for the Cowboys, and you can take Dallas at 12, and I'll jump up to 7.
Well, it's a straight swap.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Well,
Didn't
depends. I mean,
That's
Dallas
5
might take an
spots.
offensive player, Hawley.
That's
You might-
that's 5 spots in the draft. That's a ripper. Sorry.
How are we evaluating
Yeah.
it?
And
I'm
I'll throw
kind
in-
of valuing it like,
I'll throw
well, it
in-
has to be a fair
That's
trade.
sort of what I've been doing.
But yeah, like no one's ever going to trade pick 7 for pick 12.
No, not without a future first and a second.
Oh,
or a
we can't
third
do
thrown
futures,
in.
please.
We're not doing that. Well, I'll throw
I'll
throw in Ravens at 27 for you as well.
Nah, it's okay. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I
in
knew he
Ravens.
didn't want that.
What about
because it's too far
Are you
back.
interested in the Panthers? Would you just do? I'd
Cool.
do 7.
I
for-
am interested in keeping that pick because I think that's a valuable pick.
I was going to say I'd swap 7 for 8.
Would you do that, Dos? Would you move up to the Jets? Move up a pick?
Nah.
No?
I'll give you
Okay.
12. I'll give you Dallas and I have to pick the Cowboys.
All right, last.
Kurt, I'll give you 7. I'll give you the Jets.
Yep.
Give me the Cards and the Bucks. I like the Bucks.
I'll give you.
Oh, 16.
I like the Cards. I'm open to trading the Bucks. I'll trade the Bucks.
Yep.
I'll give you Cincinnati and Tampa for the Jets.
Yeah, done.
Done. All right. I think that's good. I think are we all done?
Oh, so
All
Hawley's
set?
got about 8 picks in a row there. Not quite that many. That's a bit excessive, but a few.
All right. So Hawley, you are now Tennessee, New England, New Orleans, Miami, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Chargers, and Packers. You know what? I'm going to put this in the Instagram because that's just a lot of listing of teams. That's the seg. Hawley.
And that evens out. Now we've all got.
Now we've all got
1,
a
2, 3,
decent
4,
amount of
5,
teams.
6,
Yep.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, I got 10. You guys got 11 each.
Well done.
Good trading, Dos. Enjoyed it, mate.
Good.
Hey, I offered.
Oh, you did. He did have an offer there in the
You
end.
offered
Yeah.
12 for 7.
Yeah, well, you didn't take it. So bad luck.
This is why Dos doesn't play fantasy.
I was comfortable. I'm good with my hand.
You should
Hawley,
have
that-
told us this before we brought this segment
Would've
up. We
helped.
didn't know that you weren't going to trade.
Oh, well, I just thought, it's all right. Let it roll. I thought you boys would want to be doing it. So you talk about it every week.
I had good fun just then.
I did too.
Kurt's going to have a good 24, 25, 26, 28, 30.
Yeah, you boys could go and have sit in the relaxation corner, which
That's
has
right.
moved, by the way. The
No,
couch
that's,
is
what, that's why I was trying to get rid of the Packers because then I'd be done at 21 and you boys can fight
You
it
could
out.
literally go home. All right, there's only one way to finish the week,
Oh,
Hawley.
joke. Okay. Sorry. Wait for you. Why are fish so smart? Because they live in schools.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Good one.
Thanks, fellas.
That's quick.
That was quick.
Short and
easy,
sharp. Well
done.
done.
All right, beautiful.
All right, boys. That's the show. Remember, if you haven't hit subscribe or follow on YouTube or on whatever app you listen to this podcast, then make sure you please do. Leave a 5-star review if you've enjoyed it. Tell a friend. We've got a big couple of weeks coming up. 2 weeks away from the famous mock draft app. Next week we've got, well, we won't do any more trades. I think we're probably done. And Dos does raise a valid point after today. We need to start prepping. So that's about it.
Perfect.
See you next week, boys.
See you next
Enjoy
week.
it.
Well done,
See you,
Dos.
See you, Curtis.
You want me to edit out the insult to Dos?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll take it out. Just the standard one error in an episode to really throw out the whole video production. Perfect. See you next week.
Sorry about that. Do you want me to swear again now?
Yeah, go on.
No, I'm not going to.
Okay. See ya.
See you guys.